Hi. Why do you think you have ADHD? That's the question I got asked from my GP yesterday when I went for my follow-up visit. This is a new doctor. I had the same doctor for about mm, years. I mean, my youngest son is 27, so 27 years. And uh, it got to a point with my old doctor that I started telling him what I wanted done because for years, uh, I got a lot of negative feedback from him whenever I thought there was a certain issue medically that I had. He used to like to, I don't know, I kind of felt like he was downplaying my symptoms that I would tell him or making it out like it was all in my mind, which, it happens to be all in my mind. I mean, this situation is about the mind. So, and how it affects my body and my life and other people around me. So, anyways, there I go, talking. Um, so I got this doctor back in October of last year, and I'm not sure how I feel about him yet. In any case, back in October, I told him my concerns about um, me thinking that I have ADHD. So he had me fill out some kind of an assessment, not really related to ADHD, more toward depression and am I suicidal and things like that. That was kind of confusing, but I went along with it and filled it out. Then he had me come back and get an echocardiogram done. I guess because if I do go for an assessment and I am diagnosed, they want to make sure your heart is good. I guess these meds can affect your heart, which, if you already have ADHD or autism, you already know these things. So I'm just documenting my experience with being undiagnosed and looking for a diagnosis. Um, in any case, my doctor asked me, "Why do you think you have ADHD?" And I felt put on the spot. Actually, let's back up a little bit. I got into his office. The nurse or receptionist or whoever she is that works there behind the desk came in, gave me a form, told me to fill it out before the doctor comes in, which was actually an ADHD self-assessment form. And aside from, it was a scale. It was like not very often, often, more often than not type of thing. I should have took a picture of it, but I didn't because, of course, I think of everything after the fact. Those are when the good ideas come. So I filled it out. And aside from two that kind of fell into sometimes, every box was all on the right, like, more often than not, how often do you lose things? How often do you interrupt conversations? How often do you get distracted? How often do you find yourself not being able to start a task or finish a task? Projects. Um, so anyways, the doctor comes in. "Why are you here today?" I said, "I'm here for my follow-up. I never heard back from your office to get my ADHD assessment done." And he says, "Why do you think you have ADHD?" Which I already went through all of this back in October, by the way. I already went through this with him. But again, here we are. And I said, well, because of course at that time, just like any other time, I felt put on the spot and my mind went blank. Like, yeah, why do I think I have it? Uh, but complete blank slate. So I just handed him the form that I had just filled out and said, well, there's for starters. I mean, check all the boxes. And then I proceeded to tell him about some friends of mine that have brought it to my attention within the last few years. And actually, I had a hearing test done back probably 4 or 5 years ago because I have auditory processing issues that I didn't even realize was a thing until like literally 2 weeks ago. I mean, the more I research this and the more I see things that have been going on with me, I'm just like my mind is kind of blown. So, hearing doctor, I had my ears tested because I cannot be in a room with multiple people and have a conversation with somebody who's right in front of my face. I cannot hear them, or I can, but I just can't focus on what they're saying to me because I'm hearing a thousand other conversations going on around me. Anyways, I'm going to stop talking about that because there I go again. I'm going off on a completely different direction. So I told the doctor, friends have mentioned it to me. I had a hearing doctor mention it to me that possibly that's where I was going with the hearing doctor, by the way. The hearing doctor, my hearing was fine, except I had a little something in my left ear. And the hearing doctor said to me, well, explain to me what you're experiencing. And I told her about not being able to be in a room full of people, not being able to focus on what people are saying, and mishearing people when they talk to me. Sometimes people talk to me and I don't quite catch the first part and I hear the last part and then I ask them to repeat themselves. And I do it often, like so often enough that I'm very conscientious of it. So she suggested to me, this was about 5 years ago, maybe you should, have you ever talked to your doctor about getting assessed for ADHD? And I thought that was really weird. We're going to pause there. We're going to come back to that. I'm really going to try hard with this channel to stay on track because I derail all the time. So, back to my doctor. So, as I tell him that the hearing doctor told me that maybe I should get assessed for ADHD, I mean, he was sitting in his chair, no lie. And he's like, looked at me like, or like almost like, are you for real? Of course, then I start feeling anxious. Like, now I feel like he's judging me, like he's looking at me like I'm lying. Why would a hearing doctor tell me that? Of course, it could all be in my mind because I don't know why. I feel really weird advocating for myself on this one. I didn't even get into asking for a dual assessment for autism as well, because that's a whole other video, but I do have so many traits of that as well. I'm not as sure of autism as I am of ADHD though. So I think I'm going to like nip that one first and then see where that goes. I don't know. We're going to see. In any case, if any of you out there watching this video, and if you are watching, thank you so much. And please consider subscribing, liking, hitting the notification button. I would appreciate it because there's going to be multiple videos on this. I would love to, I'm just going to record my progress from here on out, leading up to the assessment, what happens after I get assessed. I am terrified. I'm terrified both to be told I don't have ADHD, and I'm also terrified that I'm going to be told I do have it. I don't know, like, is it a lose-lose? I mean, I kind of feel like if I'm told I do have it, at least maybe so many things will start to make sense to me, and I cannot feel like I have just felt like this person who is completely alone, feeling like an alien, feeling like I don't belong here, and it just I just for more than anything else, I just want the validation of it. Because if it's not ADHD, then what the fuck is it? I I'll be lost. I feel like I'll be lost if they say, "Sorry, it's all in your head." Anyways, have you been assessed? What did that look like for you? Have you known your whole life? Did your parents take you? Or are you an older person like myself? I'm in my 50s. I'm just coming to the realization that it's a possibility. It's a very good possibility. I'm no doctor, but I am 99% sure that this is what I have. Uh, it's, there's just too many things that fit, and very. I don't even think I've come across anything really that doesn't fit. So I'm very curious if anybody could share their feedback with me. What, as an adult, what did that look like for you? I have spoken to some people that I know that have been assessed. I didn't really like my hairstylist. She just recently got diagnosed, and we didn't really get into the whole conversation about what made her think she was or how that even came about. I didn't really get any feedback from her what the testing looked like. So that makes me kind of nervous because follow through for me is not a strong point. I'm hyper fixated on it right now. I have been actually for quite some time, so much so that I decided I'm going to make a channel dedicated to this specifically because there's a lot of channels out there that I do watch that I find for people who have been diagnosed or people who are psychologists or psychiatrists who are talking about ADHD symptoms, autism, what it looks like for women versus men. But I haven't really come across any channels where someone is undiagnosed and highly believes that they do have it, and I'm really curious, is there anybody out there watching this right now who is undiagnosed and you're on the same path I am? You're kind of worried about taking that first step, going to the doctor, because it's not easy. It's not, it's makes you very vulnerable to go into your doctor's office and lay it all out. And I'm going to feel really vulnerable when I go to the assessment center as well. What I'm actually kind of hoping, I'm hoping that I go and I end up getting a twofer. Maybe, maybe I'm just being hopeful, but maybe I will go and they will be doing the assessment for ADHD, and maybe the person who's assessing me will pick up on the autistic traits and then recommend a dual diagnosis be done, or a dual assessment, I should say, not a dual diagnosis, but a dual assessment. Because I think from what I've read, and I've been doing a lot of reading about this, like I should be an expert by now, but honestly, yesterday I just found out a whole bunch of other things that I do that are ADHD related, and I was like, I thought that was just me being weird. Like, or maybe it's an autistic thing. Actually, maybe that fell under autism. I can't remember because I've been researching both. In any case, again, went off on a tangent. I just hope that I go and I end up getting like assessed for both. So, yeah, if you could maybe comment what your experience was going to the doctor, laying everything out for them, the vulnerability. Was your doctor understanding? Did you feel like you weren't being taken seriously? I kind of feel like that. I'm not being taken seriously. And I'm not that person. I'm not an overly confident person, but usually when it comes to doctors, um, for a long time, just listen to doctors. Well, they're the doctor. They got the degree. They know what they're talking about, but they don't always. They don't know you. You know you, right? I know me. I know that I've been feeling since I was a small child that I'm different. And I don't think that that is neurotypical, if you want to call it. I was going to use the word normal, but that's not the right word. So, in any case, as a kid, I didn't feel normal. I felt like I never fit in, like I didn't belong. I feel that way in adulthood, and this whole masking thing. And to be honest, let's go off on another bit of a roller coaster ride. I have ADHD in my family and autism, by the way, which I've read is hereditary. So, um, but the funny thing is I didn't even necessarily believe that, well, I believed that ADHD existed, but I thought it looked like something else. Like, again, the way it looks like for boys, hyper, uncontrollable, loud, so it never even crossed my mind in a million years that I could have ADHD. But now thinking about it and reading about it, watching videos about it, my mind does not stop. And when I started joining groups on other social media platforms and reading other people's experiences and them talking about um, having 10,000 tabs open, I'm like, yes, yes, that is me. Like, you should see me clean a house. It's insane. Anyways, let's end this here. I'm really curious if you made it through this video. I thank you. I would really love to reach 100 Oh gosh, I started. I'm going to pause there because I have three things trying to come out of my mouth and then I stutter. Restart. I would love to reach 100 subscribers. So if you're on the same journey that I am, you're undiagnosed or you are diagnosed and maybe it's interesting to you and you want to see what happens with my process, um, please leave a comment. Let me know how it all went for you. Like and subscribe. Hit the notification. I'm still new at this, guys, so be nice. I'm not sure how the editing is going to turn out either. Wow, my stuttering is really bad right now. Okay. I'm not editing any of this out because I want to be able to look back when I'm big and successful and have these great videos. I want to look back and see how terrible, how terrible I was. Anyways, thanks, guys. I'm Shannon, and my channel is Positively Mad here because that's what we are, positively mad. I'm just trying to turn a negative into a positive because I've lived my whole life negative. More to come on that. Anyway, thanks, guys. Good night.